G'day, Doug back with another video, and today's video we're talking all about YouTube withholding tax. You might have seen in the last week or two an email or a tweet like this one on the screen right now, which talks about non-US creators having to pay 24% withholding tax if they don't fill out some forms in their Google AdSense account. What's it all about? Well, we're going to talk about it today. Let's hit it. All right, the first thing we need to look at is what this is all about and why we're looking at it. So let's jump into some documents, shall we? The first document we're going to jump into is this one from YouTube Help, entitled US Tax Requirements for YouTube Earnings. There's a big yellow warning thing there, so make sure that's to get your attention. That is directly related to what we're talking about. I'm not going to read that. We're going to look at this paragraph here. Google is required to collect tax info from creators in the YouTube Partner Program, YPP. If any tax deductions apply, Google will withhold taxes on YouTube earnings from viewers in the US from ad views, YouTube Premium, Super Chat, Super Stickers, and channel memberships. Why is Google withholding taxes? This is the reason. Google has the responsibility under Chapter 3 of the US Internal Revenue Code to collect tax info, withhold taxes, and report to the Internal Revenue Service, which is also known as the IRS, when a YPP creator on YouTube earns royalty revenue from viewers in the US. If you have earnings from viewers in the US, Google may be deducting taxes known as withholding as early as June 2021. So right now, as of recording, I'm in the second half of March 2021. So we're looking at, in about 3 months time, or just under 3 months time, is what we're talking about. Just to divert for a second, I want to look at where this has all come from. Why all of a sudden are we talking about royalty revenue? Well, let's jump back to November, December last year, and YouTube's updated terms of service for US creators or US users of YouTube. The particular section we want to look at is royalty payments and tax withholding, which is here. If you are entitled to receive payments from YouTube through any other agreement between yourself and YouTube, for example through YouTube Partner Program, all such payments will be treated as royalties in the US starting November 18, 2020. Okay, so it's in the US. Google will withhold taxes from such payments as required by law. Similar changes will be announced for creators outside the US in 2021. What we're talking about today are those changes for people outside the US. This is what we're talking about. The thing that they've done though is that they've announced the tax changes in ample time for creators to actually fill that information out in their Google AdSense account before announcing the terms of services update that they apply in each country outside the US. And basically the way you're monetized within the YouTube Partner Program, nothing is changing there. This is just a taxation and a compliance issue with the IRS in the US. So let's go back to the main document we're looking at, and then from this point on, it goes into discussing the process for submitting that information, which we're going to walk through in just a second. Now, you might be asking to yourself, and there's some unanswered questions. I don't know, Ian Corzine mentioned this on his video as to why all of a sudden YouTube and Google were doing this. What triggered the deeming of income from YouTube Partner Program as royalties rather than whatever they were doing before where it wasn't classed as royalties? That hasn't been explained and that hasn't been clearly understood, but we always referred back to, at the top here, Chapter 3 of the US Internal Revenue Code. And as Ian pointed out in his video, that code's been around for a while, quite a few years actually. So if you want to go dive deeper, go do a deeper dive on your own time, you can do that. I don't have the answers to that. If Ian Corzine doesn't know, then I certainly don't know. What happens if you don't update anything? Let's do a breakdown, some maths to understand why it's worth your while to submit a form for withholding tax on Google. Let's look at the screen right now. I'll put up a little spreadsheet here. Now the first line here, you can see that line there in green. Now if I do nothing, if I don't do anything, it says that I'm going to be paying 24% on the total amount that is owed to me. We're going to use a default $100. I get paid $100 a month AdSense. So if I get $100 AdSense and I don't do anything, they're going to charge me 24%, which of course equals $24. Okay, now we're going to jump to a couple of examples. The first example, I'm going to do the Australian tax treaty because I'm in Australia, I know the numbers. For me, I'm going to talk about the $100, and we're going to just guess and just say that 30% of my income, this isn't real, I'm just making this up, 30% of my income comes from the US partners, so that's ad revenue, super chats, all that sort of stuff. So 30% of 100 is $30. Now, the deeming rate for Australia is 5%. So 5% of $30 is $1.50. So with $1.50 will be withheld from me. Out of 100, not too bad. If there's no tax treaty in your country, which means you're at the full rate 30%, then this is the math. You're earning $100 a month. 30% of your income is coming from the US. So 30% of $30 is $9. So you'll pay $9. Well, you won't pay it. It'll be withheld. So you'll end up with $91. Now, just as an example of another country that has zero withholding, the UK tax treaty. In the UK, they have zero tax treaty rates. So even if 30% of their income, of their $100 is from the US, because their rate is zero, they have nothing withheld. They get the full amount, $100. So if in the UK and other countries like it, it's a win-win. For here, for me in Australia, 5% isn't too bad. I know some countries have 10 and 15%. They're not too bad either. Let's go and add a random country here that we're going to deem at, let's say it's 15%. So I'm just going to put in the other numbers to match really quick so you can see me doing this on the fly, and then I'll just copy the formula down. Copy, paste. There it is. So random country that has 15%. So if you're on 15%, I'm doing the math for you. And 30% of your income comes from the US. So 15% of $30 is $4.50 will be withheld. So you get the math. It's a lot better to have $1.50, $9, $4.50 withheld rather than $24. You get my drift. They might say, what if my income is a higher amount? Let's say it's 70% of the amount. So let's change these to 70. Let's see. For me, it goes up to $3.50. Now, the no tax treaty jumps high, but it's still under the $24. No surprise there for people in the UK. And random country, $10.50. Still a lot less than this $24 that we had at the top if you do nothing. So in 99% of the cases out there, it is worth your while making sure you have that form filled in before May 31st. Now, AdSense, here we come. Okay, once you're logged into AdSense, you are going to need to go, you might have this banner where you can go manage tax info, or alternatively you can go to payments. And there's a big red bar there, manage tax info. So if you ignore that one as well, you can go down to settings and manage settings. But we want to manage tax info. United States tax info. You go, oh my goodness, I'm not in the United States. Don't worry, you're in the right place. To get payments from Google, you must make sure to provide your tax information. This will take a few minutes. Add tax info. Okay, it's going to open up a channel. It's going to verify. Okay, we're going to. It's going to want to verify that this is you. So obviously, I'm going to be logging in. Just wanted my password. Okay, first thing that's asking me here is to find the right tax form. Please answer a few questions first. IRS requires that tax info be reported in letters A to Z or numbers. What type of account is Douglas Hewson? So basically, am I an individual using YouTube, or have I made myself an entity like an LLC or a company, a corporation? At the moment, I'm an individual, so I'm going with individual. Are you a citizen or resident of the United States? No. Click next. Select the W8 tax form type. Okay, this is where some people might start getting confused. First option is W-8BEN. This form is the most commonly used for non-US individuals who would also use to claim tax treaty benefits. In most cases, this is probably what you want to use. You want to know if you're in a tax treaty country or not before you start this, possibly. The W-8ECI is most commonly used as a non-US business entity. So the top one, I'm an individual. This is what I'm going with. We're going to set individual here. We're going individual here. So I'm doing a W-8BEN form. Thank you, IRS, for colourfully naming your forms so people understand what's going on. Okay, my name, DBA, is doing business as name or disregarded entity. There's a little information box here. Okay, I'm not a business or anything like that, so I'm going to skip that. I'm just trading as myself. But DBA is doing business as. Country of citizenship is the important one. Make sure that you select that correctly. It's this country that you have a passport for, your citizenship. Okay, now this is where some people get confused because they see the tax identification number, TIN. In your country, it's probably not called a TIN. This is just what US people call it. In Australia, it's called tax file number. In different countries, you might be called social security number, different things, whatever it might be. But basically, it's a number that the government gives you to identify you for tax purposes and other things. For me, it's tax file number. I know what my TIN is. And then it's going to basically ask for your personals, like your address, mailing address and things. Permanent residence address or is a PO. Tax treaty. Okay. Are you claiming a reduced rate of withholding under tax treaty? Little information box. The US has income tax treaties with many foreign countries. Under these treaties, certain residents may be eligible to pay a lower US tax rate or not pay US tax at all on some types of income from sources within the US. Am I claiming a reduced tax withholding? If your country has a tax treaty, which you can see, there's a link to the IRS site. It has a list of all the countries that have tax treaties. You can go and find out if your country has a tax treaty, so you can know to answer yes or no. I am going to say yes. Resident of country claiming treaty with the US. I am, and it'll be in this list here. If it's not in this list, then you can't claim a tax treaty. Australia, that's me. Special rates and conditions. You may be exempt or have taxes withheld at a reduced rate on certain types of income earned in the US. These reduced rates and exemptions vary among countries and specific income types. Select all that apply to you. You can claim future income type you may plan to earn. Now, okay, just going to butt in for this section because we're going to talk about these options that you're given here. You're not really given any guidance on how to fill it in, but I dug a little bit deeper and got this information here. Now, when this is the three options that were given and a bit more explanation. Payments made in relation to Google products can sometimes fall into multiple categories. YouTube, AdSense, and Play partners should select all income types for which they are eligible to claim treaty benefits to ensure they receive the appropriate withholding rates. Google withholds at the appropriate rate based on the income type being paid and the corresponding treaty claim. Google won't use additional treaty claims unless such income type is paid. To help you decide which payment types to relate to your partnership with Google, use the following. It says other copyright royalties actually applies to Play Store and the YouTube Partner Program. So as a YouTuber, copyright royalties are the first one you must put down. Second one is motion picture and TV royalties, certain types of YouTube movies and shows and Play partners. So it does have some crossover with YouTube, so do that one as well. And then general services such as AdSense. My advice across the board is to claim them all because whatever income Google categorizes that, they're going to apply the correct rate. So if you have something that happens to fall into services or happens to fall into motion picture or happens to fall into copyright royalties, you want to be claiming the correct treaty rates so that you're paying the minimum withholding taxes possible. For me, for example, when I'm filling out, the W-8BEN form as an individual, I claimed motion picture, TV, other copyright and services, which is 5%, and 0% respectively. Whichever ones you don't claim, and you happen to get income in that, it's going to be deemed at 30%. So you don't want to be accidentally not declaring something and getting a 30% rate when you could have been paying 5%, 0%, 10%, a lot less. So make sure that you just select them all. Select them all. The correct rates will apply if your country has a tax treaty. Of course, if your country doesn't have a tax treaty, this whole section is moot. Then here it says, the reason that I meet the terms of the treaty. As a tax resident of the country identified in the section, the individual identified tax meets the required terms of the treaty, doesn't have a permanent establishment in the US, which means I have no basis, I have no entity in the US that represents me, or the right or the property in respect to the royalties that are paid isn't effectively connected with a permanent establishment or fixed base. In other words, I have no claim on any business, or I'm not residing in the US in a manner where I would be needing to pay taxes in that manner to the US. So that is why I can claim the reduced rate, because I have no dealing in the US in regards to what I'm doing. The document preview. This is how your document will be generated, because what they do is want to put on an official IRS form, which is what you can see in the little window there. It's going to create a little PDF. Next, certification. Under the penalties of perjury, this is the whole serious part. It's like when you do your taxes, whatever country you're in, you say, "This my tax return that I'm putting in this particular year I'm stating this is true and correct." And then we have to put in our full legal name as our signature. You won't be seeing this. Are you the person listed in the signature section? Yes, I am the person. This is me filling this in. Are you? And then the status change affidavit. Are you providing tax info for a new or existing payments profile that hasn't received payments, or an existing payments profile that has previously received payments? Now, if you've had your AdSense account for a while, I'm assuming it's going to be the latter. I'm providing tax info for an existing payments profile that has previously received payments. And I'm saying this is all true as of January 1st, 2020, which is still correct. And we're about to submit. And here we go. All right. I get this summary here, which tells me everything. I am not a tax expert. I am just a lowly YouTuber, content creator, and trying to navigate this along with everybody else out there who needs to do the same thing. So here we go. It is done in my AdSense account. We shall see what happens when we get around to June this year, when this all kicks in. Obviously, in the next couple of months up until the end of May, there's the time we have to submit the forms. So make sure you go fill them out. They make it a lot easier. If you have to fill in one of these W8 forms by hand, by yourself, as you might have had to have done with maybe an Amazon affiliate program, another affiliate program, a merch shop program like Spreadshop or Teespring, you have to fill in a similar type of form, being an entity that is outside the US, especially if that company is providing that service is in the US. Do you have any further questions about the withholding tax situation with YouTube? My recommendation is make sure you get your form filled in, like I showed you, before the deadline of May 31st, so that you're covered by any changes that roll out at that point. Make sure you're getting the maximum amount of money possible into your account every month by filling in the form and putting that in and making sure that it's all sweet with AdSense. I never thought I'd be doing 2 AdSense type videos close together, but needless to say, the one I did the other week, which you can watch right here. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. This is Doug from Doug Hewson YouTube. I'll catch you later. Bye.
Subscribe to Doug Hewson YT for more tech or content creation.